I would like everyone in the room to close your eyes. Picture the United States of America, the Founding Fathers, the American flag. What do you see? Freedom, democracy, opportunity, equality. All great American virtues. But what about state-sanctioned murder? Did that come to mind? Can you imagine a country that has executed over 768 people since 1976? How about a country whose entire legal and justice systems have been under review for several years due to the imprisoning and killing of innocent people? This country exists, and is the one you are a part of and reside in, the United States of America. Over 100 people on death row in this country have been proven innocent. In 1998, the U.S. was third in the world in executions, only falling short of China and the Congo. The 68 executions in the U.S. that year were more than Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Vietnam, and Cuba combined. Does this truly allow us to continue to refer to this nation as the forefront of human rights? I think not. Over half the countries in the world have abolished the death penalty, but the U.S. continues to execute more people now more than ever before. We are therefore put into the same category as countries such as China, Iraq, and Afghanistan. With the majority of nations against death penalty, it seems evident that the U.S. must abolish it. As a member of this nation, who wishes to live not under a government supporting state-sanctioned murder, and of a child of a woman who has dedicated her life to trying to prove the innocence of those falsely accused of crimes and help release those that are sentenced to death, I strongly feel that the death penalty should be abolished. Seeing my mother prove people innocent and then witnessing them change their lives and/or stay out of trouble leads me to believe that even the worst crimes don't deserve such an unalterable punishment. There are also several practical reasons why the death penalty should be abolished. Rising evidence of innocent people put on trial, prior conflict in the Supreme Court, public opinion, extreme costs, unjustified deterrent effect, the morality of the act, the constitutionality, not to mention the hypocrisy of the death penalty, bear out sufficient justification to the need for abolishment. Gary Geiger, Sabrina Butler, and Andrew Golden are the names of only 3 of the 113 plus people that were released from death row due to evidence of innocence detected after being sentenced to death. Butler was giving her infant CPR and brought her to the hospital, then was accused of murdering her baby. It was later detected that the baby died of sudden death infant syndrome. Geiger was accused of killing his parents and sentenced to death row. Shortly after the police overheard the killers talking about the murder, he was released. What if evidence was never found in favor of their innocence? The states would have killed innocent people? According to the statistics at the Death Penalty Information Center, 1 person for every 7 executions in the U.S. has been found innocent while on death row. To run the risk of killing more innocent people by keeping the death penalty is not only atrocious for the families of the falsely accused, but constitutionally unjustified. Murder is illegal under nationwide law, and killing someone who has committed a capital offense is considered murder. Under these conditions, we are merely living under a government led by possible criminals when the executions of innocent people occurs. This is the same government that dictates your health insurance, entitlements, and your rights. Is this who you want leading your country? The fact that the Supreme Court has previously found the death penalty to be unconstitutional proves that even our highest officials have felt it should be abolished. By the end of the 1960s, all but 10 states had laws authorizing capital punishment. However, strong public pressure by those states opposed to the death penalty resulted in an unofficial moratorium on executions for several years. The last execution during this time took place in 1967. Before this, it is estimated that 130 executions per year occurred, according to the Justice Center. In 1972, in the case of Furman v. Georgia, the Supreme Court struck down federal and state capital punishments laws permitting application of the death penalty on due process of Eighth Amendment grounds. Despite the Supreme Court ruling, the death penalty was reinstated in 1976 in several separate Supreme Court cases. Today, roughly half the U.S. public now prefers life without parole to the death penalty as the best punishment for a crime of murder, according to Amnesty International. Given the Supreme Court ruling on this issue, the public opinion that supports that ruling, it is the duty of the legislator to re-abolish it. There have been hundreds of studies done concerning the cost of the death penalty, and not one of them proves that the death penalty saves money. In North Carolina, the death penalty costs about $2.16 million more than the sentence of life imprisonment without chance of parole. In Texas, the death penalty costs about $2.3 million, which is around 3 times the cost of imprisoning someone for 40 years. One might wonder where all this money comes from. The Death Penalty Information Center has it figured out. Across the country, police are being laid off, the courts are overwhelmed, and prisoners are being released early. But crime rates continue to rise. The states that are experiencing this wrath still continue to pour millions of dollars into the death penalty, and there is no reduction of crime. Because of the spending cuts in the criminal justice system due to the recession, government officials are losing their job and police are being removed from the streets. How can we stop it if we don't have more police in the area? Necessary funds to increase public safety is being delegated to the death penalty, which therefore only increases crime, altering the security of each and every one of you. Is the cost not that relevant to you in your opinion on the death penalty? Well, then consider deterrence. Some people believe that by having the death penalty as a potential sanction, fewer capital crimes will be committed. However, a September 2000 New York Times survey found that over the last 20 years, homicide rates in the states with active death penalty have been 48 to 101% higher than in the states that have abolished it. FBI data shows all 14 states without capital punishment in the 2008 had homicide rates below or at national rate, according to the Amnesty International. Another way to prove that capital punishment does not deter homicides is to look at homicidal rates throughout the country. In 2000, the South had the highest homicide rates in the nation, at 6.8 murders per 100,000, and held 80% of the nation's executions. On the other hand, the Northeast had the lowest homicide rates, comprising less than 1% of the nation's executions. States in the South with more executions per year have an average homicide rate of 5.5, compared to those in the Northeast with 3.6. Thus, the death penalty has no positive effects in terms of deterrence. This makes sense due to the fact that the states with death penalty are forced to cut down on policemen and safety options in their spending to afford the death penalty. Do you still feel safe knowing that homicide rates are higher in states such as ours that impose the death penalty? I sure don't. Many Americans believe that the death penalty violates the 8th Amendment that prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. Execution is a barbaric and painful process. Even the use of lethal injections have not solved this problem because many of them have lasted between 20 minutes to over an hour. Prisoners have been seen gasping for air, grimacing, and convulsing during executions. Autopsies have shown severe, foot-long chemical burns to the skin. Needles have been found in soft tissue, according to Amnesty International. In my opinion, this is morally unjust, no matter what crime they have committed. I don't believe in torture. Do you? Moreover, it is inappropriate to use physicians and other medical personnel who are obligated under the Hippocratic Oath to practice medicine ethically, to administer death penalty by lethal drugs. This poses serious conflict with medical ethics. Death penalty is, in conclusion, morally wrong. I can provide extensive reasons to why I believe this act dishonors our nation's morals, virtues, and reputation, along with why it violates my own morality. But every person has different morals. Therefore, the justifications I have provided should sway those who morally concur with the death penalty, and it should be abolished for practical reasons. When unsure whether you believe the states should continue to implement the death penalty, consider one last thing. The purpose of death penalty is to punish those that committed a capital crime. But the way the government punishes murder is by murdering. Seems hypocritical. Do we burn arsonists' houses, or do we steal from thieves to punish them? So why should we feel the right to kill murderers? Thank you.